Modern Warfare 3 news is officially confirmed and out in the wild, and information from it looks like Warzone is going to be in for a huge upgrade heading into the integration with Modern Warfare 3 at the end of this year. Around November and December at the end of this year, you will see Modern Warfare 3 integrate into Warzone 2, updating every single part of the game, introducing all of the new weapons, fundamentally changing all of the mechanics for Warzone, and also carrying across all of the camos and cosmetics from the previous title Modern Warfare 2. There will also be a brand new map which we only have one image of so far from Zombies, which also features in Modern Warfare 3, and Zombies is taking place on the same map as the Battle Royale. And this will likely rotate with Al Mazrah having two large maps in Call of Duty Warzone for the first time ever since the game was released. So there's lots happening with Modern Warfare 3, all of the classic maps, lots of new weapons, all of the things you were hoping to see, including a zombies/DMZ hybrid on the Warzone map. But what does this mean for Warzone? And can it save Warzone from some of the stagnation we've seen as a result of the mechanics in the game? Warzone is by no means a perfect game at this point in time, and whilst it has made some improvements, the game struggles with its identity. It's a frustrating system that's filled with animation, unresponsiveness, and generally speaking just feels like a sluggish, watered down version of what we experienced in Warzone 1. So today I wanted to tell you how the Modern Warfare 3 integration is going to fundamentally shift Warzone from where it is now to where it will be at the end of the year, and there are a huge amount of changes that is going to radically change the core fundamentals of how Warzone works, how it plays, and how it feels in your hands. So at a basic level, this integration will bring across all of the cosmetics from Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 2 and smash them into one. So character operators, weapons and their camo skins, and effectively every piece of equipment that you see in the game like Semtexes, thermites, flashbangs, stuns, etc, are going to be melded together into one base system. And this is because the Modern Warfare 2 engine and the Modern Warfare 3 engine are effectively the same thing. So this is likely going to be the easiest integration Call of Duty will experience, bearing in mind that the Black Ops Cold War game was on an entirely different engine from Warzone 1, and then Vanguard was on the same engine, and then there was lots of mishmashing, so on and so forth. Whereas in Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 scenario, they are the same thing with an extra number at the end, and all of that should be far easier than anything we've seen before. So all of your favorite weapons, operators, and camos and skins that you've purchased in Modern Warfare 2 will be in Modern Warfare 3's version of Warzone. Al Mazrah will also likely stay, and we will also likely see a brand new big map on release rotating with Al Mazrah for the first time. But let's talk about the core fundamentals, the core philosophy of Warzone that is going to change. Because right now in Warzone, the biggest problem with the game is a lack of outplayability. The issue as somebody who competes in Warzone and plays at a fairly competitive level, top 250 at the moment in Season 5, is that the game is currently stuck in a situation where there is no outplayability. The outplayability in Warzone right now comes from who can spam grenades at the other person, who can spam explosives at the other person, who can spam stun grenades or other tacticals, and there just isn't a huge skill gap. And this lack of outplayability is also doubled down on by the animation system in Modern Warfare 2. Mantling things takes forever, putting plates in takes forever, reloading weapons can take forever, aiming down sight can take forever, and just moving between animations, like going from a slide to plating or going from jumping over something to shooting. When you try to combine different actions or different sequences of movement together in Warzone 2, you kind of get punished for it. You effectively get told off for doing that. You can't go from a slide to a drop shot. You can't go from shooting in a sliding animation, which you can't even do, to trying to play up and move around a corner. And the lack of mobility and the lack of movement, when combined with all of these sluggish animations for plating, ADSing, putting nades out, so on and so forth, makes a really hostile environment towards mobility. And at the moment in Warzone 2, the game is heavily dependent on positioning, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because players should be rewarded for good positioning, but it's heavily weighted towards positioning, and in my opinion, just camping. Sitting in corners with bouncing Bettys, claymores, and some RPGs is far more beneficial to most players than trying to push a building. You know, you almost get penalized for trying to attack players or outmaneuver them in the game, and that's why very few people do it. But all of this is set to change with the Modern Warfare 3 integration. To start with, slide cancelling is returning, but it's not the cheesy slide cancelling from the old Warzone that people disliked, because that one broke the hitboxes and reset tactical sprint. This one should have corrected hitboxes, and tactical sprint is now set to a recharge timer based on the weapons in your hand, per weapon class. So an LMG and an SMG will have different tactical sprint recharge durations. So you no longer will have to spam slide cancelling in order to move around the map quickly, but rather you can slide cancel to get in and out of engagements, or perhaps try and break somebody's camera when you're engaging them 1v1. It's an outplayability option, but not something that's going to be cheesy, spammy, or something that you need to move around the game. So this is a big outplayability factor that's returning to the game. Next up is reload cancelling. Now in Modern Warfare 2, you can only cancel a reload so long as the magazine hasn't been ejected from your weapon. Whereas in Modern Warfare 3, you will be able to reload cancel at any given point, meaning that if you run into another opponent and you happen to be reloading, you can actually challenge them for once as opposed to being stuck in an animation loop and then trying to switch weapon, which also takes forever, and then inevitably dying. You will actually be able to fight back. There are more changes too. For example, you'll be able to mantle over walls and objects faster in Modern Warfare 3, and you'll also be able to mantle while sprinting, meaning that you'll be able to chain together sprinting and jumping up and over objects, as opposed to kind of stopping, then grabbing the wall and pulling yourself up, and losing that kind of speed and momentum. You'll also be able to fire immediately after sliding, so whilst you won't be able to shoot while sliding unless you have a certain perk, I believe, in multiplayer, you will be able to fire instantly the second the slide animation has been finished, and that should also be quicker than what is currently in Warzone 2. Like I said, there is a perk to ADS while sliding, but we don't know whether or not that is going to transition over to Warzone yet, and we can only assume for now that that will be in Modern Warfare 3. But there is a chance that it could. And moving around the map is going to be drastically quicker too. They've increased how long tac sprint lasts per weapon class, so if you're running around with SMGs like most of us do, you will be able to tac sprint for longer. They've also increased the strafe speeds of every gun, and the ADS movement speed, so strafing from side to side, and ADS movement whilst you're aiming down the weapon. And tactical sprint is now a timed recharge that you can even have whilst regularly sprinting. So depending on the weapon in your hand and how clunky and heavy it is, tactical sprint is going to recharge after a set duration, but you can still regularly sprint whilst tac sprint recharges, as opposed to having to slide cancel or jump up in the air and melee like you had to do in Warzone 2, and all of these other bits and pieces. This is a very direct, responsive movement system that is going to make outplayability finally a factor in Warzone 2, meaning that you can challenge people, you can make rotations on players, you can try bamboozling some people left, right, and center, but most importantly, it doesn't reintroduce any of the cheese. Animations won't be breaking your hitboxes in slide cancelling, and you won't have to spam slide cancelling to move around the map. It will just simply be a mobility option when you're in a gunfight. So this is really the best of both worlds in my opinion. It's all of the mobility and outplayability that we've lost in Warzone 1, but without the cheesiness and cheapness that made them annoying, frustrating, and just not enjoyable for some people. This is honestly going to drastically increase the skill gap in Warzone in a way that I think is really positive. Sometimes when you get into fights in Warzone 2 right now, it just feels like you're stuck. It feels like you don't have options to move and rotate, and it feels like unless you have a grenade, a smoke, or a flashbang, or a stun, you're kind of screwed. But finally, we should be going back to a system where you will have the ability to move in and out of engagements more fluidly, and move around the map faster and more fluidly. In my view, this could be the saving grace for Modern Warfare 3 and for the Warzone integration. I think it's good that this is going to be happening in multiplayer for Modern Warfare 3, and it might actually make me more inclined to play it, but in Warzone especially, with these bigger maps, with more important gunfights where you have a limited amount of lives and gulags, I think having this ability to bring back a skill gap, and the ability to move around the map faster, and move in and out of fights faster, is going to be incredible for the game. But it's now all down to execution, because it's nice to hear about these things and the content creators who were present at the capture event felt confident in them, But the proof's in the pudding, and that will happen when we get our hands on Modern Warfare 3's beta. So whilst these changes on paper sound very exciting and do sound like exactly what I've been looking for, it's important not to get wrapped up in the hype train. Because much like the patch notes where they don't tell you how much they've nerfed a weapon or buffed it could only be a slight change, or it could be the change that we're looking for. We just don't know until we play it ourselves. As always folks, if you enjoyed this video, hit that sub button and support the channel, and consider dropping a like as well, because that helps too. Let me know what your thoughts are in the changes to movement and the overall integration for Modern Warfare 3 that's coming to Warzone in the comment section below, and I'll chat with you down there.